remember a time when love felt simple, when your presence alone was enough to quiet every fear inside me. We built our world slowly, brick by brick, promise by promise. There was no rush, only the belief that what we had was real and unbreakable. I trusted you the way one trusts the sunrise, believing you would always return no matter how dark the night became. I gave you my time without hesitation, my loyalty without question, and my heart without conditions. Every dream I had slowly began to include you. My plans bent around your existence, my happiness tied itself to your smile. I believed love meant sacrifice, and I sacrificed willingly, never once thinking it would cost me everything. You told me I was your safe place. You said my presence felt like home. Those words wrapped around my heart and stayed there, convincing me that I was chosen, valued, irreplaceable. I ignored the world when it warned me to be careful. Love, I thought, was supposed to be fearless. There were nights we spoke about the future in soft tones, imagining days we hadn't yet lived. I held on to those conversations like lifelines. Even when life felt heavy, your reassurance made me believe we could survive anything together. I never doubted your honesty, because doubt had no place in the love I believed we shared. I adjusted myself to fit your needs, silenced my worries to protect your peace, and forgave moments that deserved conversations. I told myself love meant understanding, even when understanding hurt. Slowly, without realizing it, I placed your happiness above my own. I didn't see the warning signs, or maybe I chose not to. Love has a way of blinding even the most careful hearts. I believed loyalty was mutual, that effort would always be returned. I believed you would protect my heart the way I protected yours. At that time, I had no idea that while I was building a future with you, you were already learning how to walk away from it. I was holding on with both hands, unaware that you had begun to loosen your grip. The change didn't arrive loudly. It crept in quietly, disguised as exhaustion, distraction, and excuses I wanted to believe. Conversations grew shorter. Your attention drifted elsewhere, and I found myself talking to pauses instead of responses. Still, I told myself love goes through phases, that patience would bring you back. You started guarding parts of your life that were once open to me. Your words felt rehearsed, your affection inconsistent. I noticed the way you smiled at your phone, the way your eyes avoided mine afterward. Each moment planted a seed of doubt, but I buried it under trust. I asked gently if something was wrong. You reassured me quickly, almost too quickly, telling me I was overthinking. I apologized for doubting you, even though my heart was screaming for honesty. I chose peace over truth, unaware that silence was costing me my self-respect. The nights grew colder, not because you were absent, but because you were no longer present. I lay awake beside uncertainty, feeling alone even when you were near. The connection we once shared began to feel like a memory instead of a reality. I started questioning myself. Was I not enough? Had I changed? Did I ask for too much? Betrayal has a cruel way of making the innocent feel guilty. I blamed my expectations, my emotions, my need for reassurance, never considering that the fault wasn't mine. Then came the moment when truth could no longer hide. A fragment of honesty slipped through the cracks, enough to shatter everything I believed. You didn't deny it for long. The silence that followed your confession was heavier than any argument we had ever had. You said it just happened, as if betrayal were an accident rather than a choice. You spoke calmly, while my world collapsed quietly inside me. In that moment, I realized that while I was fighting for us, you had already chosen someone else. The darkest night wasn't the betrayal itself, but the realization that I had been loving alone for far longer than I knew. I confronted you with a heart already broken, hoping for remorse, for accountability, for something that resembled the love you once promised. Instead, I was met with distance. You listened, but you didn't feel. You heard my pain, but you didn't carry it. I asked why I wasn't enough. You had no answer that made sense. You said you never meant to hurt me, yet every choice you made led directly to my pain. Your apologies felt empty, spoken more out of obligation than regret. I realized then that love cannot survive where honesty is absent. Trust, once broken, doesn't shatter loudly. It crumbles slowly, piece by piece, until there is nothing left to hold on to. I felt grief not only for the relationship, but for the version of myself that believed in it so deeply. Letting go was not a decision I made easily. It felt like tearing away a part of my identity. You had been woven into my daily life, my thoughts, my sense of safety. Walking away felt like stepping into darkness without knowing if I would ever find light again. You moved on faster than I could comprehend. While I was mourning what we were, you were already building something new. That realization hurt more than the betrayal itself. It confirmed that what I lost meant more to me than it ever did to you. I carried the weight of unanswered questions, replaying memories that now felt tainted. Love that once felt pure now felt like a lesson written in pain. Still, I refused to beg for someone who chose to leave. The night I finally let go, I cried not because I lost you, but because I lost the illusion of who I thought you were. And in that loss, something inside me began to shift. Healing did not come quickly. Some nights were heavier than others. Memories returned uninvited, and trust felt like a foreign concept. But slowly, I began to understand that losing you was not the end of my story. I learned that love should never require self-betrayal. That loyalty given freely should never be taken for granted. I learned that someone else's inability to stay faithful is not a reflection of my worth. The darkness you left me in forced me to find my own light. I rebuilt myself with patience, honesty, and boundaries I once ignored. I stopped romanticizing pain and started respecting my own heart. I realized that infidelity doesn't begin with actions, but with choices. And love doesn't survive on words alone, but on consistency, respect, and truth. What we had taught me what love should never feel like. Today, I no longer hold on to anger. I hold on to growth. I release the past not because it didn't hurt, but because I deserve peace. I gave you my everything, and you walked away, but I walked forward. And that made all the difference.